Allen Heath has just launched the Xone 24C as well as the Xone 24. Two new mixers to replace the 23C and the 23 as two-channel, entry-level, smaller, portable, home versions of their big all-singing, all-dancing mixers from the clubs. But essentially, they contain the stuff that you like in Allen Heath mixers. They are analog. In this case, it's also got a sound card, but analog at heart, with a lovely analog filter with all the usual controls on it and the same sound quality that you've come to expect. So in this review, we're going to have a quick demo of the filters and some of the other functions on here, the meters and the EQs. I'll show you what they look like. I'll talk to you about how it feels. I'll talk to you a little bit about the setup here and why this kind of mixer is really nice in this kind of setup. I'm actually using Algorithm's DJ Pro. That's part of why this kind of mixer is nice, because it doesn't really matter what software or hardware you're using. Generally, you can find a way to make it work in a setup where you maybe want to move past using a basic controller or something like that without completely breaking your bank. All right then, let's have a look at what this thing is. And I'm going to start off by showing you the all analog version of it, the Xone 24. Because essentially this is the same device entirely, just without that sound card. So we have two channels, each with a 3-band EQ. We have a switchable Allen Heath filter in the middle, which can be switched onto any of the channels, but it's just one filter. That's it for the effects on this. Down the side here, we have our third channel. They call it a 2+1 because two of the channels go through the crossfader, now an Innofader. But the other one doesn't go through the crossfader. It does have an on-off button. It does have 2-band EQ and gain, and it does have a little peak meter so you can tell that you're not driving it too hard. But this is kind of like the +1 channel. That means it's slightly more flexible than just a normal 2-channel mixer. And in fact, it's very flexible because you can plug so much in around the back. Now, when it comes to how flexible it is, clearly the more flexible of the two is the 24C because that's got digital as well. So I'm going to put this one to one side now. This is all analog, right? That's part of the appeal. I'm going to put this one to one side now, and we're going to spend the next few minutes looking at the rest of the stuff it can do and demoing a couple of the bits like the filter on the 24C. Right, so here it is, set up with Reloop's little 7-inch turntables and Phase being the wireless DVS system with Algorithm's DJ Pro in this instance. By the way, if you haven't seen Phase, it's a lovely wireless way to control your DJ software using turntables and using those little pucks I've got on here. And this is particularly good because it plugs in to a mixer like this with just one cable. You see, I've got no audio cables at all. It really is quite simple to get it all going. So let's do that. Let's get it going, and then we can have a little listen to that filter, which is one of the big reasons for this mixer. So I'm going to turn the filter on. This is the filter. We turn it on the channel that you want to play it with, like this. And here we go. Check that body. So that's a high pass filter. There's a low pass version of it here. Check that body. You can decide how resonant it is using their mild to wild control. If you've got this turned down here, it's more like a tone control. As opposed to having it at the top. So one filter across all the channels and high pass and low pass options. This is where you basically dial in how much of it you want, and this is where you decide how resonant it is. So let's look at the EQs. So you see I've turned the EQs all the way down there, full isolator. There's now absolutely nothing going on. And this is a classic techno setup, right? This is where you really can dial in sound sculpting with techno music in a way you couldn't do if you didn't have full isolator EQ. This little light here will flash to tell you if you're in the red, and that's cool. They've also got one on this channel here, and obviously on this channel here. Also, you've got your main meters here. Your main meters will switch when you cue a channel to show you the cued channel, so you can get your gains right here. But as soon as you switch it off, it will show you the main output as well, so that you've got both of them going on one set of meters. Really nice bright meters. So that's kind of the audio functions and features of it. Let's have a look around the back. I want to show you how everything plugs in. Again, this is why I think mixers like this are flexible, and you kind of already know if you want one. If you're trying to do stuff you can't do with your current setup because it hasn't got enough of this stuff. DJs who want to live stream, DJs who want to maybe add in a third channel that brings in the sampler from somewhere else, or brings in a synthesizer or a drum machine. And it's also got digital audio workstation features, so you can set this up to have all the inputs mono and use this to mix from your Ableton or whatever. So lots of stuff you can do with it that you just can't do on less flexible DJ gear. And it all starts at the back, of course, plugging everything in. I'll go through the analog stuff first, and then we'll get to the digital stuff. So analog, 2 line inputs, 2 phono inputs, switchable on the top, which means, again, you don't need to plug stuff in and unplug stuff. If you want to switch between CDJs and turntables or whatever, you can do it all on the top. You've now also got this master insert. This lets you plug effects, because there's no effects in the mixer itself, only over the master output, which is a little bit limiting. But these master insert RCAs here are where you will plug that in. And so you'll literally plug in at the top and the bottom the 2 RCAs to and from your effects. And these here bridge them when you haven't got it plugged in, and that's basically because if you didn't have those plugged in, then this button here, press that by mistake, master insert, then it will turn the music off, because you need this to bridge them at the back. And that's what that's there for. All right then, so we've also got a whole set of outputs, record, booth and balanced outputs. So this is nice because it means that you can record away from your master, and so you can be turning the club up and down while still taking a nice clean recording. There's your auxiliary input, and this is just a pin for attaching earth cables. So this bit here is interesting because we've got a USB hub as well as just a USB. So the first one goes off to the computer, but this white one here is what I've got the phase box plugged into, right? So you could plug something else in there as well, which I'm going to tell you about in a second is a very useful thing to have. And finally, whoops, the wrong way, here's the power input. This is a DC power input. I'd have preferred to see an IEC with the transformer on board, but hey, you can't have it all. One less thing to break if you've got a mains input rather than a DC. Right, okay, so why would this be useful, this hub? Well, if you're using this as I am, as a DVS setup, literally you've just got a standard mixer with control over the audio. You've got nothing else. You've got no cue points, you've got no library stuff, you've got no way of doing anything else. And so I think it would be nice to have an extra controller, and of course I'm not alone in that. That's what modular controllers are all about. And so you can plug in around the back there. You could plug in, for instance, an Allen Heath Xone K3 that they've just released, or if you're a Tractor user, you might want to plug your Tractor X1 in there. Anything that you can then place alongside the mixer, pull everything apart a bit, and you've then got control over all that stuff. Well, it would be that way around, wouldn't it? You've got control over all that stuff that you were otherwise missing. And it's all MIDI mappable, of course. I mean, you would know that if you use this kind of controller anyway, but what I'm talking about is this. I say all, the faders can all be MIDI mapped, so you could have those doing extra stuff as well to have it all configured how you want it to be. So to DJ with, it generally feels nice. To my ears, it sounds nice. I'm listening through extremely nice monitors here, and I have enjoyed playing with it. I like the analog kind of sound anyway, and the filter, as ever, is, well, you know the filter sound. If you're an Allen and Heath fan, you've got that. It's the same one. It sounds nice. The actual layout is easy to use because although it's maybe a little bit squashed down here, it isn't. Down here, your faders are all breathing nicely. So if you're a scratch DJ and you need proper access to the Innofader, which is another new thing in this version, it's there. And I also think that the lighting's nice. It looks nice. I mean, you can't really tell on the camera quite as well as in real life, but these are nice and vibrant. The colors on these are quite nice. These are quite hard to press, I found. I mean, it's all right when you get used to it, but yeah, I think these could potentially have been a little bit looser, but hey, you get used to it quite quickly. And the controls are what you would expect on a decent mixer. So you actually get split cue as well as your cue and master knob there. You get obviously crossfader adjust, but also crossfader on off. And so it's got the stuff that you would expect. And of course, around the front, there's 2, not just the 1. Headphones inputs, as is the case on most mixers nowadays. So you can plug in your 1/4-inch headphones, or in my case, and I'm sure in your case, if you've lost the adapter, I've lost the adapter years ago for these, the little 1/8-inch input. All good, it's all down there. For use at home, for use in boutique setups like I've got here, I mean, it's very cute, isn't it? For use in portable or mobile setups, where you need the flexibility of a mixer, but you obviously don't want a huge mixer that's big, heavy, expensive, and maybe just got stuff on that you don't need, this is going to fit the bill. They have bumped it in meaningful ways over the 23C. The USBs are now fully class compliant. You can plug in your iPhone or your iPad or whatever, and it's just going to work with them. The phono inputs are louder, which is nice as well. But essentially, they preserved all that's good about a small, in this instance, because we're looking at the 24C here, a small hybrid analog digital mixer. You already know if you want it. It's nice. I like it, and I can see lots of DJs jumping on it who've got a little bit more about them than just playing tracks from software. It's the Allen Heath Xone 24C. This has been the little digital DJ tips mini review of this one, and of course the all analog version, which I showed you at the beginning. But if you have any questions about this, please do ask. I'd love to help you in the comments underneath. Meanwhile, from me, Phil, here in the studio, get good, get out there, make the moments, and we'll see you very soon. Bye for now.